Hello.
Okay, I've said, 3 guests for the price of 2. Why have I said that, Esther?
It's a little tiny baby.
Come on!
I know. She's been kicking away, actually. I think she likes your voice.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Well done.
It feels good.
Gosh. I don't know. Do we go in on that? Do we go in on the show?
Whatever you want.
Do we go in on Dominic West, who you met when you were 17?
I met him when I was 17.
Tell us about that.
My dad was doing a film with Mark Wahlberg and Jennifer Aniston about the lead singer, based on the story of the lead singer. I think it was Judas Priest, was taken ill, and then the tribute act lead singer then became part of the band. So it was based on that. It's a film called Rockstar. It's a good film. It wasn't.
I'm gonna watch it this weekend.
Do you know what? Dig it out. It's good.
I will.
Anyway, so I was 17 and I went to the set and I was quite starstruck by Jennifer Aniston and Mark Wahlberg, and also Dominic West, who's held up remarkably well.
Annoyingly well. I'm
Really
going to go
well.
annoyingly well. He's
Yeah,
54.
You wouldn't know it, would you?
No, and also, he's going to look like that when he's 74.
Yeah.
Because he's got, by the way, I think it's because he smiles a lot. He's got his whole face smiles, so that clearly means he spent a lot of his life smiling.
Which can only be a good thing.
It can only be a good thing, can't it?
It's like that. We were talking about it the other day. The book The Twits.
Yeah.
That there's those lovely Quentin Blake illustrations of like that you get the face that you deserve after a certain point.
Without question.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even if someone isn't conventionally good looking, they can still be very beautiful because their kindness shines through.
Absolutely.
So him and his gorgeous coiffure makes me think of that.
Yeah, Esther, you were quite taken with his hair, which looked,
I love his hair.
was effortlessly tousled, I'm going to say. What do you think about that?
Yeah, totally. You're like that just got out of bed look, effortlessly, just gorgeous and roguish.
Yeah, I mean,
Very roguish.
By the way, Esther shoulder shimmied when she did that. Very sort of, playfully, mischievously roguish, baby. And also, he even smiled through his defeat to your dad last weekend.
Yeah, he did, which was magnanimous to say the least. But so my dad won Best Actor at the BAFTAs, and it's his first BAFTA after 40 odd years in the industry, and it means so much to him, and of course to us, his family. I was on a plane to Vancouver, where I've been filming, and I couldn't get any Wi-Fi on board, and so I had to wait, and it was after the ceremony when I landed, and I was nervous the whole flight because I just really wanted him to win, and I got the Wi-Fi as soon as I landed, and I was so moved, Chris, that I burst into tears, right? When I saw his speech, I just cried, and the stewardess came over and thought I'd got some sort of bad news and was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, my dad's just won a BAFTA," and I showed a picture and she cheered, and it was really just gorgeous, and I was emotional for like 3 days afterwards because it just means so much to him.
Yeah.
It really does.
Well, he's such a dude, your dad, as well.
He's just gorgeous, but like that, we work in an industry where we're constantly in one way or another seeking approval.
Yeah.
And sort of external validation.
And work.
And work.
Work, depending on whether you've got any.
Yes.
If you've got work, you're seeking validation and approval. And if you haven't got work, you're seeking that first and everything else.
Yes,
afterwards.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he's gainfully employed and validated by his peers. So he's a happy man. And I am too as his son. I couldn't be prouder.
All right, so you're listening to Esther Smith and Rafe Spall here talking about Series 4 of Trying. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right, Esther, get us up to speed if you don't mind. For anybody, you can join the party whenever you like, but let's go back to episode 1, season 1, because obviously different series start with different sort of flagship episodes. We start this one with a funeral. They have started with weddings. Can you just go back and frame everything to get other people to the party who may not be there already?
Yeah, so basically the whole series is about a couple who can't conceive naturally, so they go down the route of adoption. The first couple of seasons are about them going through that process, which is really hard. Then in season 3, they find their children and their brother and sister. And then season 4, we jump 6 years ahead, and we're now the parents of one teenager and one slightly older child. So this season is about the complications of parenting, I guess, teenagers, and also our teenager wants to find her birth mom. So that's the whole kind of
heavy subjects with a light
Yeah.
touch. That's the thing, isn't it? Because it is comedic, but it's not out and out comedy. It is. I think it's very Ted Lasso. It's Apple TV Plus, and we were saying just before you both arrived that Apple seem to have this way with things. I mean, they clearly don't write it, they don't produce it, but they seem to commission. They've got there's a flavour about their stuff. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, totally. They've got, I don't know, I feel like they've got that really lovely sweet spot of really representing certain stories and really touching viewers, but also giving a really kind of lovely lightness to it and a release with that.
I think it's stories of hope. I think they're all stories that are inherently hopeful, and our show specifically, and I think Ted Lasso is about good people trying to be good, which is eminently identifiable to the audience watching it.
Yeah.
I think most people watching our show would like to think of themselves as good people, even if they're probably even if they're
it's
not.
One of those shows you do where you wouldn't mind hanging out with the people that watch it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, exactly, which is great.
Yeah, it's like people listening to this show. I can't wait to meet any of them, because if they like this show, they're going to be all right. They're going to wake up wanting to smile, not necessarily smiling, but wanting to smile.
Well, indeed.
Open to a smile.
Open to a smile. That's what we want.
Yeah.
And I get to hang out with one of the stars of the show every day. So that's really
More than
good.
hangouts, it would seem.
what you
I
mean.
don't know what you mean. Yeah. So that's nice.
There's TV weddings and now there's TV funerals. I mean, obviously, Richard Curtis, he cut everybody off at the past, didn't he, with his 4 weddings and 1 funeral. He's considering 4 funerals and a wedding now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, and he's also considering 1 wedding, 1 funeral, and lots of gardening as the title. Which is interesting. But when I was watching the funeral scene in episode 1 of series 4 of Trying, it takes you back to all the funerals have been, and the narrative of a day of a funeral. Because it's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be sad. You might not be in the mood to be sad. You might not be sad. You might be too sad.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah, such pressure to kind of, grieve in a specific way.
Do we say who's died, or should we leave that?
I think we...
Yeah, because it's a good setup. There's a good
All right, let's not say who's
Yeah.
somebody who beloved has died.
Yeah, somebody beloved has died.
Somebody of deep character.
Yeah, it's a good. You're right though. Funerals are very particular, aren't they?
They're bizarre. Funerals are bizarre.
Do you think about your own funeral ever?
Yeah, sometimes, but only hopefully for the benefit of the people who might have to go to it.
Yeah.
I don't really care about my funeral, but I just want everybody to have a nice time. Or, I didn't go to my dad's funeral because my mum didn't want me to go. I was only 13 at the time, and she thought it was best if we didn't go, rightly or wrongly. So I've always had a thing about funerals, and then I sort of overwent to them to make up for the one I didn't go to. Right. And then I was like turning up at I don't really know this person, but it's another. It's another notch on the bedpost of the funeral count. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm over funeraling. I think I've more than compensated for not going to my dad's. But I've been to all sorts.
Too many, you would say.
Oh, well, not too many, but, I was at one. I was a pallbearer at one. And Ronnie Fraser, who your dad will have known.
Yeah.
You may have known. Ronnie Fraser died. He was a very good friend of mine. One of the original sort of British Brat Pack. And I was asked to be, by his daughter, asked to be a pallbearer at his funeral. And I was so upset because Ronnie was such a good friend of mine. I said, I'm not going to be able to do this. And the responsibility of having the coffin on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And his daughter said, look, don't worry, because Sean Connery was also Sean Connery. Would it be Sean Connery? It would have been Sean Connery. Yeah, Sean Connery and Peter O'Toole were also pallbearers on my side of the coffin.
Oh, wow.
And his daughter said, don't worry, you've got James Bond in front and Lawrence of Arabia behind, you'll be fine. That was particularly memorable.
That is reassuring, isn't it? Do you ever think about songs for your funeral?
No, I don't actually. I think about zooming out and being from a chandelier perspective, the classic, sort of wide shot of that kind of scene. And then I don't think about it beyond that.
Do you have a funeral song, Esther?
Do I have a funeral song? Oh gosh, no. I don't know. I feel like it'd have to be something like I love Queen, so it'd have to be something kind of so everyone can have a good old sing. And Bohemian Rhapsody, it's got everything in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's quite long, so they have to stay a bit longer.
They have to stay a bit longer.
Yeah. What about you?
I think you want to get everyone crying. I'm a massive Kate Bush fan.
Right.
So it would be something Bush-led. There's a song called Moments of Pleasure where she herself talks about all the people in her life that she's lost,
Right.
and all of the beautiful moments that she remembers them by, simple everyday moments,
Yeah.
like one of her friends dancing down the aisle of a plane, say, and that to me is what life is made up of, and is again reflective of our show, are those beautiful moments of kindness in the everyday that when they're all together make a life, because life can be very difficult, can be hard and ghastly sometimes, but those moments of fun and joy and beauty are the things that make it all worth it, and this show kind of is reflective of that, I think.
Yeah, and it's a great springboard for season 4, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, because you think you're starting somewhere quite dark with a funeral, but actually,
But they always end up in the pub.
yeah,
They always end up in the pub, and everybody gets drunk and everybody's laughing. You think, oh God, and just know, no matter how we die, most of us, not all of us, how we die, what age we die at, people will end the day of our funeral laughing their heads off, talking about anything but the person in the box. Usually.
Yeah. I've just remembered a story from my dad's funeral. Sorry, it won't be all about funerals, but sorry, it's all gone
Here
very
we are
dark.
laughing at
Here we are.
Yeah.
So my dad was called Steve, and this gorgeous man who we'd known forever always thought my dad was called Dave, and even at his funeral,
That's funny.
when you've got your order of service and people have been saying his name over and over again, he came up to us. He was like, "Oh, I'm really going to miss Dave. He was such a lovely man."
Oh my gosh.
Because you can't correct him.
You can't correct, and also he's just it's gorgeous as well. He's been so generous, and you can't.
So we're talking about season 4, episode 1 and 2 out on Apple TV Plus. It was very funny last night. So we sent the secret link, to get into it. Spent ages and ages trying to get into the link.
Mate,
Yeah.
you've got to be Alan Turing to get into this.
Yeah.
thing. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Annoying. I did it in the end, right?
Good.
Well done, me. After several new emails, new passwords from Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
Even more annoying when I found out it's already on Apple TV Plus, which I haven't. I could have watched it anyway.
You could have just put it on.
And also, why didn't the person who was sending me the password just say that in the email? So you don't need a password.
It's nice that you tried.
Also, it would have added to our viewing figures.
Yeah.
It would have really,
Sorry about that.
it would have really bumped up the
But
algorithm.
to get, a 4th series or something nowadays. What's it like out there, Esther?
No,
What's it like out there in teleacting world?
In teleacting world, well, yeah, it's so competitive. So to be given the opportunity to keep telling this story, and to keep being employed as these people, it's just gorgeous.
It means it must be good. And also, Jim Broadbent is in episode 2.
Yeah.
There's a couple of
season 4.
sneaky cameos.
Yeah, it's not bad. So
Charlotte Riley.
Yeah, Charlotte Riley.
Yeah.
And, throughout the series, we've had the likes of Imelda Staunton and Phil Davis and now Jim Broadbent. And if an Oscar winner is wanting to do an episode of our 4th season, it's quite gratifying.
Yeah.
It means it must be all right, I suppose.
What have you learned? Because it's written by one bloke, isn't it?
Yeah, Andy.
I mean,
he's amazing.
where's he getting all this information from? Because it's great to go all in, episode 1, season 1, pilot, if you like, put it all out there. Let's, we'll worry about writing the rest later.
Yeah,
but he's still writing about these really profound things. What's his experience of relationships, loss, adoption? How does he know all this stuff?
Well, he himself is adopted.
Right.
So I think a lot of it comes from that experience. But I just genuinely think he's got one of those brains that understands the human condition in such a way where each character feels so fully formed and is so different. I don't know. I think he's got an intuition on it, and but I do think it is. I don't know. What would you say, Rafe? Like maybe really informed by his experience.
Yeah, I guess it is informed by his experience, but I guess you'd call the show a comedy drama, and my experience of life is that it's a comedy drama, and he's got a very acute sense of that. So he does a really good job of addressing a very weighty subject, which is infertility and people's struggles with it, and it's a very real thing that lots of people have been through, have been affected by, but he deals with it with a light touch, and he manages to weave a joke onto every page, even if it isn't immediately identifiable or like a budum-tsh gag. He's just very clever, and as you say, he's written every single episode, which in this day and age is very rare, because television is usually written by a writer's room or a committee these days. So the fact that he has that level of authorship over it, I think that's a secret, is that it all comes from him. And he's been given the support by Apple TV Plus to carry on doing it. And it's really nice to be given the space these days and the chance to keep doing a show again and again. And that's really, it's really lovely.
So you say it's comedy drama life. I think it's automatically a drama, and it's our job to turn it into comedy.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
And if you remember to do that, it's just so much easier.
Oh, so much easier.
Isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Here's the man who you could give lessons in turning life into a comedy, because he laughs all the time about everything, often inappropriately. But I think it's better to do that than I go the other way sometimes. I'd rather be in your camp. I just can't get there, and I think it'd be dangerous if both of us were in that camp. I think we'd be out of work for a start, if I'm being really honest. I mean, you love this show because what was the thing you talked about earlier?
Well, it just has such soul. It has such
But
depth.
it's clever.
It's
Clever and witty.
But there are plenty of jokes that aren't badumch,
Yeah.
but there are plenty of jokes that sort of are.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
laughed out loud after you had this conversation. So, your teenage adopted daughter wants to meet her birth mother, and that's a big weighty subject. And then and Esther, I think you're sitting on his knee, and you say, "We're going to get through this as long as we keep communicating." To which the next line is, "Yeah, but if Ruth calls, I'm not talking to her, and neither are you."
Yeah, exactly.
But that's so funny. That is so funny.
It just feels realistic as well, like these kind of like family dynamics. It's like, yeah, no, I totally hear what you're saying. That's really heartfelt, but also we are not speaking to her because she's upset me.
Well, there's a lot of love for Nick and Jason and the gang. Series 4, episode 1 and 2 out now on Apple TV Plus of Trying. New episodes released weekly on Wednesdays. Obviously, you have bigger fish to fry IRL at the moment in real life. Where are we up to? What's going on? How much do you want to say about this?
Well, Esther's having a baby, which is terrific news.
Yeah.
I'm feeling fine. Thank you for asking. I feel absolutely.
Can I get you
fine.
anything, Rafe?
Yeah, no. I think my blood sugar's a bit low, so maybe on the way out.
I know you're a pregnant mum, and pregnant mums glow, but you are particularly glowing.
Oh, honestly, that means so much because I feel so tired. I feel so, like this kind of alien bobbling around at the minute. So that's so lovely to hear. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just, I don't know. This is my first, so I have no idea what's coming. It's been, I had terrible morning sickness for like quite a while,
right? And
then that stopped, thank God. And
you okay, Rafe?
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like it was quite difficult for me when Esther was feeling ill. Do you know I found out this thing recently because morning sickness is so called because men were generally around in the morning. It's because actually morning sickness was all day. You thought sick all day.
Interesting.
So that's why it's called. It must be in the morning. So it's called morning sickness.
Yeah, morning.
Because that was when men were around. Morning. Oh God, she's sick every morning.
She's all right in the afternoon. I presume she's all right in the afternoon.
I don't know.
When I got home in the pub, she seemed fine.
She was asleep.
Snoring her head off on the sofa.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
you always bring some really good facts.
Well, it'll probably be disproved by someone who's listening and texting as absolute piffle. But I'm good. I'm good for piffle.
But all good in the hood, all good on the telly. Yeah. Anything else to report?
No, just
any other irons in the fire?
There's a few irons in the fire.
Some Canadian ones by the sounds
I'm
of it.
shooting, some Canadian irons, some lovely Canadian irons. Yeah, I'm doing another show for Apple TV at the moment, which is written by a guy called Dennis Lehane, who wrote the show Blackbird, which is on Apple TV at the moment, and also he wrote the novels of Mystic River, Shutter Island, Gone Baby Gone. He's a sort of great chronicler of Boston crime dramas. So I'm doing that. So I'm commuting to Canada at the moment.
So that'd be the Canadian Boston.
This one's actually not in Boston,
right.
but it is American.
Yeah, because they do a lot of that in Canada, don't they now?
They do. There is quite favourable tax incentives. Actually,
and it looks a bit like parts of America. Well, it is America.
It more or less is, but we're loving our life. Looking forward to welcoming our little trying baby, which exists because of trying.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really lovely how life works out, isn't it?
Yeah, that's amazing. And you're doing the baking thing. You're baking.
I'm baking.
The Great British Bake Off, live and direct in the studio. And so what do we think about season 5 then? I mean, I don't know what happens in season 4, so you never know whether season 4 allows for a season 5.
I have to say,
Oh.
there's a really. I'm going to say it's a bit of a cliffhanger. So I wonder. It would be lovely to do a season 5.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if you come a year from now, 2 years, through our doors again, maybe hopefully with the little one, I presume there'll be a season 5, and that's what we're talking about.
I hope so. It'd be good. I'd be happy to do this show.
You are. You
forever.
love this one, don't you?
I love it. I love it for many reasons. I think it's good, funny. I really like not having to do an accent. Because that's a real pain in the bum. Yeah. And I'm doing that in Canada at the moment, doing an American accent. Right. And I like.
You're really good at it, though.
Oh,
you are good at it.
Yeah, but whenever you have to do an accent as an actor, that is 95% of what you're thinking about. Right. Let me tell you that. And also, I get to, hang out with my favourite person all day. Imelda Staunton.
Which is why you're not a writer. Perfect. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Rafe.
Thank you.
All right, beautiful. Esther Smith and Rafe Spall, +1 in the studio today. And trying series 4 episodes 1 and 2 out now on Apple TV Plus. You do not need a secret password or a code to watch it. Just turn on your telly, and there it is.
Virgin Radio.